I think peer learning and networking are invaluable tools for the success of many projects and the support for communities. So as I said, I work for Kilcormac Development Association. It's a not-for-profit organisation that was set up in 1982. And I suppose we generate income to try and distribute it back into community projects. We're based here in St. Joseph's Community Centre. And I suppose the main focus really for the KDA is to act as an umbrella group when it comes to the provision of community services for the enhancement really of both, I suppose, the physical and economic development of the community itself. And that focus was focused back in 1982, and it's still the focus today. Our board consists of volunteers again. We're back to the volunteers in the community who are completely invaluable. We wouldn't be able to run any of the services here without the support and help from them. We have 6 employees here, 2 through generated incomes from the KDA, and the 4 other 4 are through a community service programme through Hubble. We're also the main sponsors for the community employment scheme in the area, and that I suppose is again an invaluable tool, resource for us here to support a number of projects that we have, and it creates great training and employment opportunities within the community. And we have currently about 25 people on that at the moment. Some of the services, I suppose, that the KDA provide here, we look at the community as a whole. We try to be very inclusive and take that approach with everything. We look at where those the gaps are, I suppose, within the community, and then we try to provide the services around those. Some of the activities that we have and services and social enterprises that we have here within the community are things like Meals on Wheels. Again, our Meals on Wheels is a very successful, one of the more successful social enterprises that we run here. We have first responders, we have state-of-the-art community childcare next door. We have Vision for Kilcormac, which comes under the umbrella of Tidy Towns. We have obviously our hall hire, office hire, room hire. We provide things like funeral services, social services for the elderly. We host a tea room on a Friday morning, bingo. So there's a number of different opportunities here within the KDA. I suppose what I will say about Kilcormac is that with the decarbonisation and the transition, I suppose we really were, as well as a number of other communities, we really were at the forefront of that transition to a zero carbon economy. And we really had to look at Kilcormac as a whole and where we were and what we really wanted for the future and what we wanted Kilcormac to look like into that future. And going back on things that we've already done, I suppose, we were lucky enough a few years ago to be able to draw down some funding through the REDS programme. And through that, we were able to engage with 2 professionals, Deirdre Black and Louise Brown, to create a feasibility study around the future of Kilcormac and look at Kilcormac and look at the future, or the proximity, I suppose, of Kilcormac to Bore and how we could build upon that. So some of you might be aware of the fantastic facility that we have down here next door to us. It's Bore Discovery Park, and we're the closest community to that, and how we could we looked at how we could leverage that link. And from that, I suppose we were given a number of actions and a kind of an action plan to go by. So some of the things that we've already achieved through that, we've developed an audio heritage trail, also an oral history project. And that was, I suppose, looking at the story of Kilcormac, where a number of members of our community, both young and old, and I suppose looked at a cross section of the community, and they came on and gave interviews. And I suppose they told their story of Kilcormac. So we got a real sense of the history of Kilcormac. We then engaged with Reimagine, and we linked with Clontuskert community in Roscommon, and we've worked very closely with them in terms of the Bord na Móna Park and the houses that were built here in Kilcormac we call them the Bord na Móna houses. It's the St. Cormac's Park, and the architect Frank Gibney that developed that. those houses. So we looked at the history of that, and we're just at the end of that project as well. And I suppose what I say is that we look at all the different projects, and we also try and link the projects and have them all make sense, one link to another. We also developed the entrances to the town here, so we call that the Gateway Project, and we work very closely with Offaly Local Development Company there in terms of grant aid support. We developed just this year, we worked with Bord na Móna very closely to develop a sensory garden in Loughborough itself, which is called An Portach Ciúin. That project now is completed phase 1, and we're looking at phase 2 to develop that on. We just recently have engaged with a People's Transition Programme, where we will be looking at job creation within the community, and I suppose local production opportunities through that. And also, I suppose we had a strategic action plan that brought us right up to 2020. We've now developed a new one that will bring us right up to 2032. And again, that was in conjunction with Offaly Local Development Company and their support there. So one of the things that one of the other projects that we're engaged with is, again, the Just Transition Project. And I suppose we were lucky enough to be able to apply. We were in the position to be able to put an application into the Just Transition. Again, speaking of challenges, the application process for the Just Transition was quite arduous, and there was a lot of back and forth. Again, I think Lynn said it there, to pull in the professional supports where you can, and we did, and we were quite glad to be able to do that. So what is the KDA's Just Transition Project? So I suppose we have taken a multi-purpose approach to it, one being a tourism recreation hub, and the other is a community working hub. So through the tourism recreation hub, what it includes is a bicycle hire, a repair, and a specialised bicycle supply shop. We will also be developing a tourist office, a coffee shop, a commercial space, and I suppose drop-off facilities through that. That will be based at the front of the building here, so that will be a new construction at the front of the building. And what we hope from that is that it will lead to a demand for more specialised enterprise opportunities within the community, such as, I suppose, tourist guide enterprise, gift shops, craft shops, things like that. We hope through our own initiative to create maybe 3 to 5 new employment opportunities, as well as supporting the existing staff within the KDA. But again, what we hope is that what we're trying to do here will lead to other enterprise opportunities within the community. One of the things that we're trying to promote or try to develop through the tourism recreation hub is to increase dwell time for the visitors that are coming to Kilcormac, and give them a reason to actually stay in the community. What we're finding at the moment is that, yes, our proximity to Bor is quite close, but people are passing through the town to get to Bor rather than stopping in the community and, I suppose, spending time within the community. So we're trying to create things that give them the opportunity for dwell time, as we call it. And we're trying to do this as well, not just in isolation. We're trying to do it in conjunction with the Grand Canal Greenways, the Slieve Bloom Mountain Bike Trail, and we're also trying to promote accommodation prospects within the area. And we're hoping as well that it will, again, not just support the existing staff within the community, in the KDA, we'll hope to support existing enterprises and businesses within the town by increasing this footfall and dwell time of visitors. Our community working hub then will be based within the community centre itself. We're converting the top floor of the community centre. It was a room that we had here that wasn't really utilised very much. And I suppose one of the things that we have to promote here within the KDA and the community centre is to promote the generation of funds so that we can actually pump them back into community projects. So we looked at how we could utilise that space to the best, I suppose, economic value for it. And one of the ideas that we came up with was the community remote working hub. So within that, what we're developing is 4 working hubs, I suppose we'll call them. There's 2 double spaces and 2 single spaces. We put through COVID, I suppose, we put the call out to people that we knew were working from home and what their needs were would be within our community, and we found that none of them really were looking for hot desk spaces. They really wanted their own space. So we're starting out small, I suppose, with the hope to developing it on to another phase later on down the road. So again, as I say, there will be individual and double working office hubs. We'll have a breakout area, a coffee dock area. We have meeting rooms. Also within that, we're developing the car park facility here to include 2 e-car charging points. We're upgrading the facilities within the community centre itself. So our hall here that we use, our sports hall, we're going to be soundproofing that so that we can utilise it then as a more of an event or conference space. I suppose what we want to there again is to we want to offer office hubs to new enterprises at reduced rates. We want to again provide commuters with alternative working options within the community. We want to provide network opportunities also within the community. Again, create possibly 2 to 3 employment opportunities, and provide an additional income generation opportunity for the community centre itself that again we can turn into we can use for future community projects. And I suppose on the back of that, because we're the main sponsors for the community employment scheme, what we would hope that it would create training and employment opportunities for people on the scheme. So where we're at now, I suppose, is we have our application gone through. We have been awarded the money. We have engaged with our architect and designers. We appointed an executive management team to oversee the project. We submitted our planning application, and you talk about challenges. That was a challenge in itself, I suppose. We had to resubmit, I suppose, the planning application as there was an error on one of the things. We then got the planning back and we were granted planning with 17 conditions, which we have now met. And now we're at the process where we're just ready within this week, hopefully, to submit an application to the e-tender process. And again, I would agree that the e-tender process is not an easy thing to navigate, but unfortunately, because it's the rules of the department, we have to, and it's EU money, we have to go through that process. So that's where we're at the moment with the Just Transition. We're very excited with the prospects that are open to Kilcormac. Again, what we're hoping through the Just Transition is that we create economic sustainability within the community, and how it's something that we can build on then for the future. So that's it. Again, I would say pulling in people with the professionalism, with the knowledge, and with the I suppose the wherewithal to put these applications together is key. Networking and engaging with your local development companies, your county council for future funding opportunities is definitely something that every community group should be doing. Tapping into your local councillors can prove quite successful, I have to say. We're very lucky that our own chairman is the local county councillor, John Lahey here, but also we engage with other local representatives in other communities, and we find that very successful too. My main job here within the KDA is to actually make applications to funds and to kind of keep in mind what funds are out there and are available. What I would say, I suppose, reiterating what Lynn has said there in terms of applying for grants, your proposal has to be very clear about what you're actually applying for. And I suppose one of the things about when you're making an application, you have to show evidence as well as to why you're making this application. Evidence-based proposals are always kind of, I suppose, the winners in when it comes to being successful with grants. You have to show why the need is there and the evidence for the need. And that's where I suppose your surveys and your feasibility studies and everything come into core there. And I'm always, I suppose, my own board would often hear me saying, you have to cut your cloth to measure. Make sure that you can actually afford to do the project before you take it on. And as well as that, again, if it's in your plan, go for it. If not, do we really need to take this on, as well as all the other additional things that we're doing as well? In terms of match funding, I suppose the KDA are lucky in the sense that we do have the ability to generate our own income and our own funds here. We also run a weekly lotto here, so that generates income as well and is kind of a fundraising opportunity for us as well. In terms of the Just Transition, we did apply to Clon Credo for their support. We haven't had the need to actually tap into them yet, but to know that they're there further down the process when I suppose we start construction is a great help to us. And I suppose, again, as Lynn said there, some of the projects that we're taking on for the Just Transition, we hope that they would generate enough income that we'll be able to pump back into other projects and also through the Clon Credo. So I hope that's of help.